Yo, 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 what is going on in the hood? What up, what up? Hold on, give me 1 second. My little boss, Boopy Pants. All right, let's roll. My little boys, Boopy Pants, Boopy Pants, Boopy Pants. My little boys got Boopy Pants all through the day. Mr. Guzman, what's up? Yo, ex-daddy, what up, baby? What can I do you for? Mr. Williams, I've never been to Aspen. Mr. Williams, let me ask you this. How many Indian people do you know that ski? We ski in jeans. You ever see my dad on the slopes of New Jersey? He'd be in jeans and Levi and possibly a jean jacket from Costco. What up? What up? I never been. I bet it's nice in the summer, huh? All right. Yeah, man. Let's go do what we do, which is the do. Everybody good? Everybody saucy. You got your cafes going, or tea if you can't handle the heat. Let's roll, dude. We gotta go and pate. All right. First of all, welcome to the big show. So we've got a small, yeah, small opening. It's a flat opening. I was hoping for a gap up today. So, guys, the market has been really in a gangbusters for a period of time here. We are day one, day two, day three, day four, day five, day six, day seven. So today would be day seven of the move coming out of this consolidation pattern into QQQs. This is like the classic. This is the classic long in the tooth, short in the cock, right? Yeah, where you've got yourself like just a huge, you got yourself a huge, huge ramp yesterday. Felt a little blow offy for the hot second. Now, look, the market is still, a monster bull market and all of this kind of stuff. But if you could start to see, in terms of just a day-to-day basis, like for today or tomorrow, I guess tomorrow the market's closed, we can see that we're getting into some extended territory. So there's two different ways that we measure oversold. One is you can just use a simple oscillator like a stochastic. The secondary way is, for me, I overlay some Bollinger Bands. That allows me to just kind of see things in a more stretchy manner. And then, beyond that, you can see like, you can use all sorts of different stuff to kind of get these things going. So, if you see here, this is when you see stuff like this, then that's when things are getting a little bit froggy, right? The indexes are going a little bit, berserko above and beyond normal kind of above and beyond its normal. So we got to be a little bit careful today because tomorrow is tomorrow's a holiday and the market is closed. And the market always acts a little bit weird on these kind of days, and we'll have to be a little bit careful. So we got the ramp up. We've got a flat open. My plan today had been to short for the day, but that was only if we got a gap up, right? If we don't get a gap up, then you don't stretch the rubber band far enough to really take it short. The thing is, shorting in bull markets is like, it's usually fool's gold. A lot of people do it and they kind of really mess up their mojo. But the best shorts are also in bull markets, but you've got to have the gap up. If you don't stretch that rubber band, then you got to be really careful on those things. So just something to kind of keep mind of. I think a flat open on this, if we don't get a pull at the open, then probably we're going to ramp up a little bit. And then I'll probably look to maybe do a little a fade into the afternoon or something like that for a day trade. You can see we're starting to get a little bit extended from the EMAs here. Usually if you're just kind of trending up the 9 EMA, you're in a really rock solid trend. But what happens if you start when you start to separate right and be gaps into it, and you're leaving yourself open for a pull. The other kind of red flag that I find that's happening in the market right now is that there's too many good looking stocks. Every stock looks good. Every stock looks good, and so this is what we call a line drawers market. What I mean by line drawers market is, there's a subset of traders that just draw squiggly lines on charts, and they post these charts right all day. And what you end up happening is, everybody looks like a genius because all you got to do is just draw some lines on a chart. They're like, oh, here, let me draw this line here. And if it goes over this line, then I've made shitloads of money. And we're into that phase of the market, right, where everybody looks smart. There's a lot of good looking stocks. I mean, you got to be full blown. You got to be a full blown idiot not to be fucking taking some good shreds in this market. Like you did that, or you got girlfriend problems. Is usually the two things. It's like either you're overthinking it, you're shorting too much, or you got some girlfriend problems. Because it's just a light drawers market, and every day you're kind of seeing, all of this like kind of Butamus Maximus, where you're just having like, you have stocks super extended and they'll just open up weak and they just rip back. And so you're going to see this, you're seeing this kind of thing over and over. And so what we got to do now is just be like super mindful. Like we're in for a sweet spot into the market. And so when everything looks good and everything keeps going up, you got to be a little bit careful. Let's take a look at the gappers for today. I don't think there's too much to read on the indexes just yet. The IWM's in no man's land. The SPY itself is not as extended as the Qs, right? The SPY actually looks like, it's still got like room to go. It's really the NASDAQ itself that's got this huge extension on it, but we're not getting the huge gap up that we need to really, really short. So what I want to do is focus in on some PR plays and some stocks that are not extended, that are just starting to make its move, that could go today. And then from there, we'll start to build back out. So first of all, this is like what I want to do. We're going through the PR right now, right? So if you go through on your TC 2000 or whatever platforms you use, what you want to be doing is just a little pre-market scan to see like what's moving in the pre-market. Usually these stocks are going to have some level of news out, some level of something going, right? And so what we want to be doing is kind of flipping through these to see if any of them have a good daily chart. You can see this MLGO, it's got something going on over here. This is a pump and dump stock, so you can see over here, right? It was $1, went to 15, and now it's come all the way back. So they're just kind of pumping it. We call this the sucker's gap, where it's like the last gasp, right? It's the last gasp to get these things going. That's usually like this. This thing goes, if it pops a little bit, it'll just roll right over. So there's not really much to do about it. The Silk Road has been acquired. There's the acquisition, so there's not anything you can really do on it. Butt chug, chuggers, dude, butt chuggers. Nobody uses that anymore, do they? That was one of the best parts about the '90s. We really had all the good names. This CHGG Chang, gamping up into supply. It looks like it's just they had a cut in workforce, probably nothing. Yeah, Lana, we do. If you go to the Bulls on Wall Street website, if you go to the Bulls on Wall Street website, you'll see a free trial option. I got you, buddy. Now check out this ITCI. So, interstellar therapy says depressive disorder therapy meets primary, secondary endpoints in late stage studies. So it's got essentially some kind of news app. What that means, nobody really knows, but we have got it. So let's take a look at this. I think you've got a chance on something like this. This stock has a history. So when I see this, the stock has a history of kind of having PRs out and and making little runs. We used to play it back in the day here, way back in the day. It actually this may have a chance if it has liquidity in it. My word on this, okay, so you have a PR on it, but it's only 57,000 shares of volume. It's not necessarily the like the juiciest one so far. I would personally leave that alone for now. Um, I'm gonna add it to the list, see if any volume comes in, but it's not really the easiest of plays. Let's take a look at this. Just a price target, Triumph Financial. Uh, I got you, Lauder. You let me know if you need anything. Oh, lazy boy. Q4 gap earnings, sales fall, blah blah blah. You know, these retail stocks have been actually pretty good this year. Retail stocks notoriously are terrible to trade. We have we've got a level over here. It's a really low flow stock, 41 million shares, and lazy boys are just cool in general. I don't know if it's going to have any volume on it. It does do some days, but it's rare that it does more than a million shares, right? So when you have stocks, like you want to make sure they're at least doing, a million shares a day, right? It may come in today because it's an earnings day, but sure, I'm not sure if we got anything juicy yet. So probably leave that alone. CGNT John. Yo, the Space Mobile is just going nuts. Let's see what's going on with this thing. AVGO, junk, Taiwan Semiconductor, junk. Uh, well, no news on it. Not that I could see. Whoa. Man, no news on this that I could see currently. This one's getting a little bit long in the tooth, so just gotta be mindful of this. Like, I don't know if we got a happy-go-lucky spot on. What do you think? Yeah, so the thing is it's a hot stock, but it's testing right into the upper Bollinger Band, and it's gapping up 8%. Like, it looks fine if you look like this, but right, if you look like this, it looks a lot different. I think I'd take a pass. If anything, I'd let this thing blow out today, and I think probably a decent short. I'm gonna add this. Let's see if we blow out. If we blow out the top of this Bollinger Band today, so that's at 13. I want you to set an alert right at 13. Right? If we blow out the top of this Bollinger Band, we bust through it. So hit edit and extend it to the right. I'd change the color. If we bust through this, I think we're going to have a spot where we might be able to short this into the afternoon. What do you think? It's a buenos, right? I think so. Because look, the 9 a.m. is at 10. So if you get one final parabolic push on this, you're going to be in a really nice spot here to take this thing down. And it's very liquid. It's not, shorting like these kind of like small cap pump and dumps and all this stuff is really tricky, right? But if you have, something like this that's doing like 20, 30 million shares, it's a little bit more of a grinder. I think you'll be in a spot where you can take it down. Let's add this. What do you think? Hey, Dino, what up, baby? Thanks, RKLB. This thing is a rande. Yeah, let me see if there's a PR on this bad boy. Rocket Lab signs record deal for 10 Electron launches. All right. So, does anybody know what an electron launch means? I do not. We made that sounds great, right? Got some nice electron launches going. Um, pass. Medi Petty, this is a pump and dump. Eh, I think we got the handle on this. Not many PRs out right now. Guys, why are there not many PRs out right now? Well, earnings season starts 7/17 officially with Alcoa. So we have still the week before you get some banks. So we do have a slight, we've got a small ability, right, of like kind of 2 to 3 weeks where the market is just going to be slow, right? I mean, there's going to be some stuff going on, but like, I don't know if you guys like when you read, right, you hear people talk about like market breath, market breath, right? Bad breath, right? You think it's like your Uncle Jerome breathing on you after, hossing on some meatballs and whiskey. But what they're actually saying when they speak of market breadth is, right, how many stocks are participating in the rally. And if you really take out the semiconductors, right, there's not as many going on. So just something to keep track of. But once Alcoa's earnings start, the market will pick up a lot of steam, both up or down, because there's just going to be a lot of stocks that have right news out. So we'll be a little bit dead on news for a handful of time. Let's see on the downside if we get anything. I stay away from these small names. Not enough liquidity. Yeah, nothing really that juicy. All right. That's okay. That's okay, mate. Lennar. This one, Armando, I think you could probably roll with it. If you break under 150, the issue on this one is going to be, this type of shorting these like breakdowns has been like fool's gold of recent, right? Like shorting low, shorting bear flags, shorting breakdowns, like that's been fool's gold for really the last couple months. So we want to stay away from that. I think personally, like there's just going to be easier plays out there. Mr. Brom, that's a genius. All right, so let's take a look at the game plan of stocks I think have a chance today. All right. If the market holds up, we want to look at this Qualcomm on the first dip. You got one test, two tests, three tests, four tests. Yesterday was a swing trade entry. It was a swing trade entry yesterday for you swingers out there, right? Now you got about 10 points of, now you're rolling around about 10 points on this bad boy. You can't chase this up 3% today because it's, you're coming too far off the base. But watch any pull. Like if the market gets rugged today, you get a nice little happy-go-lucky pullback. What you're gonna do is you're gonna have yourself some good, dude. You're gonna have yourself some good damn locations, real good locations to get these things going. Watch for any kind of pull on this one. I think that's got a sweet, sweet spot on it. SMCI had all sorts of heat. Man, they had the boots and the coots yesterday. So a stock like this, if you look at its daily, right, it's been coiled up. So you went from 300 to 1250. So you got many hundreds of percent gain. Then you spend a month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 months consolidating. Guys, remember this. Anytime a stock goes up in the hundreds of percent like that, you'll often need many months to digest, right? Stocks are like people. When you go on a big run, like you need a big rest. And that's kind of what's happening over here, right? So big run, big rest. Now you're starting to peek out of this a little bit. You're starting to perk your pickle just a little bit out of this. And that's a good spot to be in. Right? That's a real good spot to be in. So when we have something like this, what we want to be doing now is thinking, how can we play this, right? So there's two things going for it too. Number one is that you have, right? Number one is that you just got this like really nice, right, range that's setting up like kind of a magnet at 940. Probably it hits that by the end of the week. And you're starting to come out of this zone a little bit. And we really popped hard yesterday. Now you ran to the top of the Bollinger Band, so pulled back into the end of day. And so we got an easy flat open on this. Like this is a good spot for a stock like this. Like we've got still room to go. Any kind of weakness on this, I don't want to chase this thing up. All right, I don't want to chase this thing up. because if we chase it up, it's going to be really, really. What we want to be doing, right? What we want to be doing is letting this thing pull at the open. If you start to see this 870 was the breakout spot, if you see any weakness towards this 870, we're going to have ourselves a really nice sweet spot to kind of come in and take a couple testers and then see if we can kind of ramp this thing back up into this 950, 950, 960 zone. Do not be surprised if the market holds to see this thing run into the 1,000 spot. That was where the action was yesterday on the option side of things. People were coming in hot on the 1,000 spots. You never know. This could be something that really starts to perk up. So we're off tomorrow, and then Thursday, Friday, usually the options pricing gets cheaper as you get towards the end of the week, and you make that run. You'll make that run into 1,000. Obviously, it's $1,000 stock. Trading the shares on this is super expensive. Trading the options on it is just a lot easier. So I like the overall look of it. But what we do need to do, let me get rid of all these lines. It looks like I just got to write some weird faddish. But what we want to be doing is, okay, so if this is the magnet up here, we need this thing to just loosen back a little bit, back and fill the area. As you start to back and fill this, then, we'll kind of ramp this thing back. So I want you to set alerts. So like, in trading, it's all just, most of the time, it's just about a little bit of organization, right? A little bit of an organization to get this thing going. So we got a sweet spot, kind of coming into these zones. Let's get this party going. I like to look at like an hourly just to make sure I've really got all my levels marked out. Let's get this thing coming right back. I like to use hourly charts to help time my entries. Let this thing come back and fill into this bone zone here. See this area right here between the 9 and 20 EMA? So when we're aligning stocks on multiple time frames, like you want to try to get pulled, right? Look at stocks on a little bit of a different level, and you'll have yourself a spot. So I like this SMCI. I want this thing to pull back just a tad, right? 20 points or so. It can get rubbed really fast. Really dig into this call time. Man, I had so many of these the other day. Look at this. Actually, you had a push inside day, right? Yesterday was a breakout. Now you got a gap up. Can't chase the gap up. Once again, if you start to pull into the bone zone on the hourly, you're going to have yourself a really decent entry for a day trade. So let it fill some of its gap, come back into the bone zone here, and you're in for a good spot. If you guys don't have this layout, you can use this. Hold on here. Whoop. You can use that layout and download it. And you'll have kind of all this shading and all this fun stuff. The bone zone has been, guys, the bone zone is the easiest way to time, pullbacks. You see, like, for example, even if you're trading smaller stocks or something like that, I would say the first pullback tends to be the most effective in the bone zone. Like, if you see something like this, like right ASTS, you push up, you pull into the bone zone. Usually it's that first pull into it that typically is the most effective. But like it's got a good spot on it. Now, stock number 3 is Dell. All right. So Dell has this nice, Dell was flying. Then its earnings came out and then it was unflying. We've seen this a lot in this market where the earnings misses get bought up at some point. What I mean by the earnings miss gets bought up. See how you gapped down here because their earnings were not very good, or they could have been good, but they weren't hitting expectations. So you end up with this big shred down. You're at 180, you get all the way down to 130, and then it starts to round and it gets picked back up. You saw this recently with right Netflix was very similar. So you can see here, Netflix was on this huge ramp. They're sitting at 600. Earnings came out. By the end, it was at 540. And everybody's like, oh, shit, their earnings stunk. This thing is left for dead. What people forget is that the market cycle that we're in, left for dead just means like for like 3 or 4 days. You start to round out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. Next thing you know, right, you're right back. You're right back at all-time highs. Now, is that going to happen with Dell? Who knows, right? We're short-term traders for a reason. So, what we got here is the gap down, similar around in a week or two, right? And now we're starting to come into this. So the key level on this bad boy, if we're looking at the hourly chart, is this 144, 60, 145, whatever this might be, right? 145 and some change. All right. 145 and some change is that key level in here that kind of back and fills this gap. So you may pull at the open. That's okay. What you want to see is that first dip hold and then work its way back. If you can work its way back, now you're in for a really good God fearing Christian shred, right? So let this thing pull a little bit at the open and work its way back into this level. And you look, if you start filling this gap, you've got all this space. Now, are you gonna buy here and it go here? No, right? But you start probably grinding your way towards it and a little bit more of a stair steppy action. So it's got a good look to it. It's just going to need a slight pull at the open, and then let's see when it retests if we've got ourselves a spot. Enrique Bustamante, ¿cómo está usted? Yo tengo huevos grandes o pequeños, my friend. That's a weird question, but it's important. Hey, my man. That's nice. That's a good setup right there. Now, Tesla, dude. Levi in our options room was putting it up the pooper on this one yesterday. This was this was an incredible. So it dipped down, went red to green. I think he had the 185 calls. By the end of the day, they were up a couple 100%. Um, you've got yourself a flat open on this bad boy, all right? Flat open. So when you get a flat open, you have a shot to go red to green. So let's add this bad boy. Yeah, let's add this bad boy. You got a week open on this one. I want you to keep an eye on this 188.75. If you get a spot on this, dude, we're in for a little hoot and nanny. All right. So I want to get in. I got two levels of support that I'm interested in. All right. If it pulls back somewhere, this was the ORB spot. So I always want to look at stocks where they released. What I mean by like released is like where did they start to speed up? So that's always has a price has a memory. So that's always a spot where like traders like to come in. So the speed up spot was here yesterday, right? Once it was kind of grinding, 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 then boom, got over the range, and then you got the speed up. So if we start to pull today, I want to hit this speed up. I definitely want to hit this speed up for a little hoot nanny. A little speed up for the hoot nanny if we can get it. Oof, this would be nice, real nice. If we go red to green, we can still take the breakout. It's more of a scalp setup at that point, but you've got kind of a magnet here at 191 that if you break this high from yesterday, then you're going to be coming in probably the 191, and then we'll see kind of what's up. At that point, you break 191, then you're off into the 200. You're off into the 200, and you're really, really ready to shred. Yeah, what's happened with altcoins today? Anybody know? Dang. Ethereum, Bitcoin down 2%, but the altcoins are down 8, 9, 10%. Go, let's see what happens with these coin stocks today, too. Let's take a look at those. So remember, trigger. I got two triggers on this. 182, if we start to pull. If we don't pull and we take out the previous day's high, I will look at this for a scalp, right? Meaning like you take 2, 3 points and you sell it. And then what happens is if it pulls back and starts to hold and build over this level, right? If you start to build, then I can re-look into it. At the open, it is very, very important to just take profits, profits all the time. So the first 15, 20, 30 minutes, guys, what you always want to be doing is like taking quick shreds, and you want to pad your stats a little bit, right? Even if it's like 200 bucks here, 300 bucks here, whatever it might be, you pad your stats a little bit so that when you kind of come out of that first 15, 20, 30 minutes, you have some equity built up on the day, right? And then you can start to, once the trend's set, now you got a little bit of a cushion to kind of come in and take a little bit more risk into the day. So like for me at the open, boom, I get a point here, 2 points here, whatever. I'm playing this song and dance to pad the stats. And then later on, if I start to see the trend set and I see other setups, then I can put my balls on the kitchen table while speed chopping carrots with a rusted kitchen knife and really go for gold. Does that make sense? Good, good, good. So at the open, just take it, take it, take it. Pad the stats, baby. You know, the way you got to think about this, when you're a day trader, you got to think like an Indian person, right? You got to think like an Indian person, like a Gujarati person, right? You ever try to negotiate with the Indian person? They're like just nickel and diming you for like, they're just nickel and diming you for like that last dollar. That's how you got to think with your trading profits. You ever see my dad was here when the baby was born? My dad was here. So me and my dad come in. We go to Taco Bell, right? Because like for us, like that's the luxury. We're Indians. We don't eat steaks. Well, I do, but right, my parents don't. Taco Bell's like our thing. You can see him like he's at the Taco Bell, and he's just like his brain is on fire because bean burritos used to be 49 cents, and then they've been raising the prices. They're not 49 cents anymore, or even 59 cents. So all the times you're sitting there muttering like, man, these things used to be 49 cents. This is fucking bullshit. And so when they're making those bean burritos in the back, he's looking there like, hey buddy, come on, man, give me some more beans on this thing. 10 years ago, this used to be 49 cents. You're charging me a double now. At least get me half more beans. And that's the way you got to think as a day trader. Keep stacking those profits at the open, build your cushion, then start to take a little bit more risk. So I want you to mark out 182, 188.50. Dude, we're going to have some fun. Then the last one is this Palantir. All right. I want you to add this Palantir onto your watch list. Palantir is a good looking, man, it's a good looking stock. Now, Palantir tends to trade a little bit like a Rundy, but you've got a level here. So I want you to just pretend this thing here. See this little pointy thing here? I want you to pretend like this just never happened. All right. This thing here never happened. If you never saw this nub of love, you would be looking at this and saying like, damn, this is a really good looking stock, right? You would say it's a flat top breakout or something along that end. So I want you to just pretend like it never happened. And dudes, we're going to have ourselves a lot more fun that way, right? Now, it's going to need a pull because you're getting a little bit far from your 9 EMA. Had a big thrust yesterday. It was thrusting and busting, thrusting and busting. Yeah, it's got a good spot on it. It really does. So let's see if this thing pulls off at the open, and then we're going to try to snag a little bit. We're going to try to snag a little bit too. All right, folks. That's the list I'm sticking to it. Right? That's the list I'm sticking to it. So let me just repeat on the long side. We've got Dell. We got SMCI. We got Qualcomm. We've got Tesla. Right? These are on pulls. And then we got the Palantir. If we want to short, right? If we want to short at the QQQs, and I do feel like we need to probably take some shorts at some point today due to the extension on the QQQs. If we get a little bit juicy, if things are feeling a little saucy, we want to definitely look for the fade. I'll either go with the QQQ itself. I think that's probably, a good spot, or I'll rip off on this MU because you've already pushed up like four points today. And the 9 EMA is at 141. 10 points away from the 9 EMA is a lot on MU. You don't see that too often. So I'll let this one pick up speed and we can take that one down. Guys, the market is very hot, maybe too hot. So you got to be just a little bit careful. The long-term trend is up. Everything looks great. All the strategies are working. Everybody seems like a genius. It's a line drawers market. But those are the times that you have to be careful because this is what happens. Market is hot, and maybe you're not being efficient and taking as much gains as you could, and you're kind of doing what we call moral victory laps, meaning like, I made $500. Profit is profit, right? Green is good, right? You tell yourself this kind of bullshit. And then what happens is the day the market pulls, you lose $2,000, right? And so then the numbers just don't work out. So what you want to make sure you do is like when the market gets like really, really giddy like this, you want to cut your risk a little bit to the long side till we kind of pull back and fill the area. You just don't want to come in, right? You don't want to come in at the wrong spot and then just give back your gain, And this has happened to me for years. Like, market gets hot, I'd take moral victory lamps. Like, oh, I made 500 today. I made 1,000 today. I'm gonna leave at lunch, and right, you do all this stuff, and then the market gets rugged, and you're like, shit. Now look, Bitcoin is falling back today. So if we need some shorts, this Mara tends to always just get nailed. Maybe CLSK, these always usually get screwed over. So we'll keep a couple of these, but the locations are not that good for shorts. Maybe iron. We'll see. All right, Bulls team. I'm switching back to the Zoom. I love you guys. Peace. Again, YouTube people, give me a thumbs up on one of those things and leave me a comment. Like,